So Shemar Stewarts' agent responded, and he completely demolished Duke Tobin, which I think was, for the most part, highly expected. As Duke did say earlier, and I made a video about it, he says, I think Shemar needs to be here. I'm not going to blame Shemar. He's listening to advice he's paying for. I don't understand or believe or agree with the advice, but I'm not the one paying for it. If I felt like we were treating him unfairly as it relates to all other draft picks in this year's draft, then maybe it would be a different story. But we are not. I don't understand where things are at. Okay, so that's what he said earlier. And that obviously sparked some debate, some conversation, whatever. Well, we knew Shemar Stewarts' agent was going to eventually respond because, yeah, you don't kind of just say stuff like that and not get a elicited response. So his agent said, Duke Tobin has no involvement in the negotiations. It seems to be above his pay grade. Alluding to him being a fake GM, obviously. Alluding to him not being a real GM who would be in these talks, right? You would have the Katie Blackburn, but you would also have the real GM in there. So kind of taking a shot at him, he's not a real GM, and again, saying, hey, you have no merit. You have no control. You have nothing when it comes to this. So you should not be talking, pretty much. Now this came off a day that was kind of interesting. We had a situation where Mike Brown said, if we get a player who does something unacceptable, guess what? I don't want to pay him. I really don't. If he's sitting in jail, I don't think I have to pay him. It's been a very wild day. But everyone's speaking, right? And Zach Taylor's like, hey, we're going to play starters in the preseason. Awesome, right? Katie Blackburn, very quiet. Duke Tobin saying stuff, hey, listen, like, Dre's situation's working out, guys. We're offering him all these deals. Katie Blackburn, who, if we're be honest here, kind of started the whole mess with Trey back a couple months ago, when she said her comments, and then obviously Trey responded and was upset with it. Very radio silenced. Like, she is keeping to herself, and I think they're telling her, like, hey, no public statements. Like, we're going to let Duke the Robot talk, and Zach Taylor. And Mike Brown just rambles at points. And I don't think anyone takes Mike Brown serious when it comes to stuff he says anymore. Anyway, that's kind of what we're at right now. So we got Shemar Stewarts' agent taking shots at Duke Tobin, calling him pretty much not a real GM. We got Mike Brown saying he's not going to pay a player in jail. And now the question is, I talked about earlier about, him potentially going back to the NFL draft. Can we trade Shemar Stewarts? And the answer to that question is absolutely yes. I didn't talk about it earlier because it is a gray area and kind of a harder subject to talk about when it comes to trading Shemar Stewarts. Because I don't think the Bengals, and I know this is crazy to say, right, because of the whole situation, I don't know if the Bengals would trade him for a 7th round pick. Now, if they will, hey, listen, we'll trade you for a 7th round pick, whatever, right? First off, Shemar Stewarts going to be really ticked off because he's not going to get first round money. But that's out of the question after this whole situation, right? I don't think they would trade him for a 7th round pick. And I know you might say, well, that would be so stupid. Like, they're literally not going to be able to use him. They're going to get nothing for him. So why would they not just trade him for a 7th round pick? I think at that point it's ego. It's ego and it's pettiness. And I don't think they would do it because of that reason. Now, they might trade for a 6th round pick. Again, I don't think they're going to trade him for 7th. But they might say, yeah, we'll trade you for a 6th. But also, again, whoever they trade him to, I don't know how the situation is going to go positively, right? Because first off, you have to find a trade partner. So whoever the trade partner ends up being, let's be honest, it'll probably be the Cleveland Brownies. That's probably the number one team who's interested. Even though it's inside division, I don't think we'd ever trade inside division. But let's say it was. So that's the one ownership that I know would find a way to mess something up. Then they have to accept the terms that, again, the language we're using in these contracts are not brand new. There's a lot of other teams also using this language. So whoever we trade him to, we wouldn't trade him to Brown, but whoever we trade him to, they would have to accept the language that we also have, but somewhere else. That's also a thing. Again, we would have to trade him for a certain draft pick. We had to agree to that. Again, it's not impossible, obviously, but it's to a point where I don't know if the Bengals would do that. I think they more or less would rather just let him sit out for a season and, enter the draft next year and just kind of stick it to him. Because, let's say we did get a 7th-round pick for him. It's not like that's going to completely change the ball game when it comes to that. Right? It's not like we're going to get a 3rd-round pick back or a 2nd-round pick. And I guarantee you the Bengals are probably going to ask for that. Just knowing how they negotiate, they'll probably ask for a 2nd or 3rd-round pick back for him. But in the end, I think, given the circumstances, he's probably at best going to be given up for a 7th. Low production numbers in college. This whole situation's a mess. Again, we can't just trade him to any team. We have to trade him to a team that would work out a contract correctly with him and use the language he wants. And again, like I said, I just have to repeat myself here, but there's also a chance that he's going to try to force his way into getting 1st-round pick money wherever he goes. So let's say we try to trade him somewhere, right? And we're like, all right, you know what? We're going to get rid of you, buddy. We're going to trade you to this place, right? And again, I know he's not going to have much leverage here, but his agent doesn't seem like he knows what the heck he's doing half the time. There's a chance that he says, hey, I want 1st-round pick money because I'm a 1st-round pick. So if I get traded to this team, I want them to pay me like a 1st-round pick. And then any team you trade him to can be like, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're going to trade you as if I said, I guess technically speaking, if you trade him, he would be getting 1st-round pick money. But then you'd also have to work out the default contract. That's something I actually don't. I believe you would be trading him with the theory of the contract. I guess, never mind, you would be giving him the 1st-round pick money, right? Because you'd be trading him. You're not trading him, theoretically speaking. The Bengals would be trading his rights. When you draft someone, you have the right to that player. So you're, theoretically speaking, just trading the rights. So I guess it would still be a 1st-round pick money. But we'd have to, I don't know. That'd be interesting because then they would get the 5th-year option as well. It's a mess, boys. It's an absolute mess. I don't know. We could probably trade it, but like I said, I don't know what's going to happen here. We lost a 1st-round pick. Peace out.